The rush was on to get all the bodies out of the sea. When you die, a gaseous exchange happens in your body. First you go down, and then after a certain amount of hours you come up because of the gas inside your body. Then we had this 12, 24-hour window where they had to race around and find all the bodies, because the second time they would go down, they wouldn't come back up again. That would mean diving the entire seabed around Phuket and Phang Nga, which is crazy.
In 2004, the Indian Ocean tsunami hit the south coast of Thailand. Mark Cunningham, a Kiwi from Upper Hutt, spent his days collecting bodies between the wreckage of what were once homes, stores, and holiday retreats.
The one that I handled, actually touched myself first, was the boy floating on the water like a blow-up doll. In some ways, in a bizarre way, that kind of helped me and perhaps others carry on through.
Marko, as his fellow Thai volunteers know him, had been working as an English teacher in Thailand. In his spare time he volunteered as a paramedic in Bangkok. After the tsunami hit, he was immediately sent to the coast to help look for survivors and to help translate.
By the time we got up there, it had just gone dark, and all we could see were car lights heading out of the area. We were the only ones going in, and I thought something's wrong with this. We couldn't really see much, and we got to this temple called Wat Bang Mawang Temple just as a truck pulled up. When I got out and I looked up at the truck was full of bodies. And then some guy just walked over to me and slapped the gloves into my hand and says, "Help with the bodies." As I looked to the right, he said, "Take the bodies off the truck and put them over there." And he pointed, and there was all this festoon lighting with that dim yellow light across the temple grounds, and all I could see was bodies.
Over 5,000 people died in Thailand during the tsunami. Phang Nga province was the worst hit, with waves up to 20 meters high, wiping out villages in its wake.
I'm not sure about chemistry, but the salt water and the heat, combination of factors just really deteriorated the bodies fast. You could see skeletal parts of the body. The bodily fluids were just leaking out all over the temple grounds. The place stunk so bad that people were coming in and then just turn around and vomit or run out, or the smell was that bad. My job was taking care of all the foreigners, and so they'd come and they'd say, "Oh, my brother, sister, mother was at this hotel." So I'd go over to the area where all the bodies from this hotel were found, open them up one by one. This is my job almost every day, opening them up. I was watching a video of myself when someone was talking to me, and I was just standing there with a blank face because I didn't know what to say. What do you say to somebody who's just lost somebody in a tsunami?
Marko and the volunteers worked tirelessly through the days. At night they slept on the floor of the school near the temple, using the same cotton sheets used to wrap the bodies as blankets. On some days, when the heat became too intense, Marko would sneak away for naps.
It was super hot down in Phang Nga, and I was wearing a full jumpsuit, gloves, boots, masks, and I was unbelievably hot. So at lunchtime, I would sneak into the refrigerated containers, find an empty shelf, and go to sleep with all the dead bodies. So until my boss called me one day, and he came and he said, "What are you doing?" And I said, "Oh, I'm just sleeping." And he goes, "I think you should go back to Bangkok and have a rest." He thought I'd lost it.
After the tsunami, Marko stayed. He made lifelong friends amongst the volunteers that he now calls his second family. Nowadays he swears in Thai, he drives like a Thai, and he moonlights as a volunteer paramedic with Bangkok's rescue charity, the Rom Kitanyu Foundation.
พร้อม2.4ครับนครสูง514 125ตรวจสอบ140
A lot of our work is in slum areas because people don't have money for private hospitals or even maybe a taxi or something like that.
So what do you know about the patient so far, Marko?
Just that it's an old lady, 86 or something, who has a fever.
Often, Marko is faced with limitations, which sometimes reduces his role from paramedic to taxi. Most volunteers only need 48 hours of basic first aid training before being allowed to work, while most volunteer paramedics are only able to perform basic life support before delivering the patients over to the hospitals. It can be both frustrating and heartbreaking for volunteers like Marko.
Honestly, I don't like to say this, but I really hate sick people. There's not a lot I can do. I don't have access to medicine. Legally, I can't intubate or put an IV in. I like accidents. I'm very comfortable with trauma, decapitations, whatever.
The legacy of the Rongkatanyu Foundation began nearly 70 years ago, when a Thai-Chinese merchant paid for a poor villager's funeral. The foundation looked after the poor and those without family. Today, coffins line the sides of the outer chamber in the original Rongkatanyu temple, which is located in the notorious slums of Klong Thoi. Many local Buddhists would donate money for coffins to be used for the unclaimed corpses in return for good karma. Some of the foundation's services now include corpse collection, disaster relief, ambulance services, and even snake catching.
The word volunteer in Thailand is quite different than in Western countries. In Thailand, a volunteer means you buy everything yourself. They must have their own ambulance. They must have all the equipment in the ambulance. They must have their own suit. They must pay for the petrol, maintenance, insurance. And for all that, they get a cardboard ID card that you have to laminate yourself.
Do you think you ever get treated differently being a foreigner?
Yes, in some ways, yes. Sometimes good, sometimes bad. And other times where a volunteer might try to do something and Thai people will say, well, I don't care about you, you're just a lowly volunteer. But when I say it, they listen to me. Whether they're scared to speak English or they just think, oh, I should show respect to a foreigner because he might think all Thais are bad. Internet,
Two of the volunteers, Gung and Tiger, have become more than just friends for Marko. They've become his second family. The couple has a 10-year-old boy and a toy dog that occasionally accompanies them during the night shift. This is Gung. Her parents passed away when she was young, and she's been making do on her own since. She has no house, land, or any major material wealth. To her, the rescue vehicle is her one treasure, and the volunteers are her family. Gung and Tiger's vehicle once belonged to Marko, and has become their prized possession. It's a black pickup truck, modified with sirens, lights, and radios. So are these sirens and lights actually legal?
Yes and no. It's a big problem in Thailand is so many unwritten laws that volunteers risk being punished or breaking the law whenever a policeman decides that he doesn't like you. Rescue workers can be pulled up at any time for not having a license for their radio, wearing the wrong uniform. The volunteers are a great asset of the Thai society. Some, I'm sure, do it for the Buddhist belief of karma. But many of my friends in my particular group don't even really believe in Buddhism. My best friend, he doesn't even go to the temples. And I said, you do it for karma? And he goes, no. And I think his classic answer is, it's just the right thing to do. It's pretty much my kind of thinking, you know. I mean, I do it for the brotherhood and sisterhood, I should say. Every day I go out and help somebody, I come back and I think, that was a good day.